Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we look at the second entry in Season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. After spending the first episode world building to re-establish the world of Clone Worlds, a distant echo launches itself full force off that platform. Its goal is to break your heart as hard and fast as possible. This show is not tiptoeing around Anakin's inevitable fate. It embraces the dark shadow looming over the series and uses it as emotional lighting for the series. Anakin is a tragic plot element, like an exploding supernova. You know what is coming. The tension, the story, the plot is what's going to happen to the characters whose fates we don't know. We know Rex's fate thanks to Rebels, sort of, but we don't know how he got there. What drove him into the sandy exile? What will be the fate of the 4 members of the Bad Batch? Soldiers so specialized that it is impossible to imagine them surviving either in peacetime or under the iron rule of the Empire. And what will be Echo's fate? Has he already met it? Is Rex slowly going mad? That is where the tension is in the story. The heartbreak begins with the title. There is no happy ending in this episode. Either Echo is dead, setting Rex up for disappointments that he does not need in his current fragile mental state, or Echo is alive and Rex will have to live with the reality that has left his brother at the mercy of the enemy. Or even the worst, the possibility that Echo has turned, as remote as that possibility might be. So even as we anticipate the outcome, there is dread building. The heartbreak intensifies with the repetition of a common scene from the past 6 seasons. Anakin does something off the books. Obi-Wan almost catches him, and Anakin, thinking he has gotten it past Obi-Wan, starts to walk away when Obi-Wan calls him out on it. You can see that Obi-Wan is trying to be playful, but it's awkward. It's not like it used to be. Obi-Wan is still trying to assure Anakin that he is his friend as well as his mentor. At any point in the past 6 seasons, Anakin would have at the very least smiled back at his friend. But there is nothing but tiredness and weariness in Anakin's eyes. He is suspicious of Obi-Wan, suspicious of everybody, except Rex. In a few seconds, this scene establishes that these 2 brothers no longer trust each other, and that is truly heartbreaking. And the lighting in the show, the use of light is genius. For the first 6 seasons, Anakin was orange, better word. The soft golden orange of an autumn sunset that dims slowly to gray over the course of the seasons. At the beginning of this show, Anakin appears with Mace Windu in the command center, and he is gray and cold, grayer and colder than he ever was in the previous 6 seasons. He only begins to thaw a little when he reaches outside of his own suffering to ask what is wrong with Rex. In episode 2, when he truly takes the time to reach out to Rex, to put his own suffering and selfishness to the side, he is once again lit with that brilliant warm glow. It's still not the same as it was in season 1. He's still not the same Anakin who led Ahsoka and Rex into battle. But for a moment, he is once more Rex's General Skywalker, even if he is no longer the Anakin that he was. That is something beautiful and real that the show manages to grasp, that it is only in reaching outside ourselves and helping others that we can somewhat pull ourselves out of the misery of life. We all face our own burdens, and yet they somehow seem lighter when we reach outside ourselves and realize that everyone is facing their own. That the show was focusing so hard on Anakin's own perspective, and that he was focusing hard on his own pain, that it was doing this that turned Anakin to the dark side. In another show, this might raise the tension for Anakin's character, the will he won't he of face heel turns aspect. But we know where that plot thread is going. This is where the genius of the show comes in. You see, we still don't know what happened to Rex during and just before Order 66. He wasn't with Anakin. He didn't take part in the slaughter in the Jedi Creche. The imagery of the show illustrates that taking care of Rex is one of the fraying threads keeping Anakin human, keeping him to the light side. Rex is more than just his captain. He is a friend of 4 years, someone who literally grew up under Anakin's wing, as it were. Remember, Anakin was still very young by human standards when he and Rex were thrown together. Anakin was 19 and Rex was 10, maybe 11 or 12, but almost certainly no older. So you're looking at a teenager and a tween, despite what their bodies might have said. They were both raised in a normal condition, both have almost no history. With Anakin's mother dead, he is just as rootless as Rex. And Rex, for all of his gray hair and crow's feet, is even younger than Anakin. At the time of Season 7, Rex is a mere 14 to Anakin's 23, and they have spent 4 long years together fighting this war, watching everyone else they loved die one by one. They're more than brothers by this point. They are family forged by the same fire. And even in the first 2 episodes of the show, it is making a point of how Anakin's little brother Rex taking care of him, making sure that he sees to Rex's needs, is one of the last things holding Anakin to the light. So, if you have heard even one story in your life, you know that something horrible is going to happen to Rex to snap that thread. We know he was alive in Rebels and survived to serve in the Battle of Endor. We know he took his chip out and didn't obey Order 66, though it is unclear whether the chip came out before or after the order. But how the Clone Wars ended for Rex is still a mystery. By the laws of storytelling, something is going to sever that bond between him and Anakin. The show plays this dark foreboding well, not making it the central theme of the episode. The central theme of the episode is simply a retrieval mission with a crack spec ops team made of play-by-their-own-rules cowboys, with all the usual humor that entails. The humor starts when Anakin and Rex sneak off together. The viewer squints in surprise when Anakin takes Rex's helmet, because that isn't something General Skywalker would normally do. And the humor of the reason is made both more humorous and terribly poignant when it is revealed. Of course, the muscle of the Bad Bunch, Wrecker, is played for laughs. If the show falls short anywhere, it's here. Wrecker's and Crosshair's characters are just a little too on model to fit perfectly in the Clone Wars universe. The jokes and some of the drama are a bit too predictable and fall flat. This might be remedied with character development later in the season, but we have no idea if these characters are going to last the season, let alone from episode to episode. They might die at any moment, primary characters that they be. The question is, will they die, and will the show have made me care for them enough by then to make that death worthwhile from a storytelling perspective? The other bone I have to pick, and it is a small bone to be sure, is that this episode is clearly an ad for a video game. Several scenes are set up to mimic a first-person action shooter game. It works well in the context of the story and the mission the characters are on, so again, I won't call it a major problem, but it did make me shake my head and roll my eyes. Oh, mousy mouse revenue stream. But where the show really shines is the tension building up from the title to the end credits, the focus of the episode. You don't know if Echo really is at the end of the mission in the flesh, or if Rex is simply hearing what he wants to in the data stream, because either one will serve the main purpose of this season very well, that of breaking Rex and separating him from Anakin. So, is Rex hearing his friend, or simply an echo of his friend in his head? The patterns that Echo left in the algorithms that he programmed. Is it Echo or an algorithm? I'm pretty decent at predicting plot twists in fiction, and I had no idea right until the final boss door opened what would be on the other side of it. Whether they would simply be blowing and destroying a computer, or whether they would be pulling off a rescue mission. So, I won't spoil that for you. Here are the questions we are left with. What breaks Rex and through him Anakin's final tie to humanity outside of Padme? Are the Bad Batch going to make it through this alive? And will we care either way when we find out? And will we get to see the gooey chips come out of Rex's skull? So, what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Did I miss anything? Leave a like if you enjoyed this, and leave a comment detailing how very wrong I am below if you think this is just Bantha do. Peace out, my